Kibana ibe sabita pahana sama. Kanamu mu Kibana ibe sabita palaya sama. Niskapati hana dasavadi abhi nirantara namagabu. Niskapata hena dasakodi hobi nirantara namagabu. Abeseraiya dayapara kari tumara karuna pabu. Abese Gracia Dejana Glory Tumara Karuna Prabhu. Oh Guru Dev Kabe Mora Seyidina It's a wonderful prayer by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Pray for the blessing of Gurudev, for the to have the taste for the holy name of the Lord, and to attain the ultimate German. So we have exalted personalities here today. His Holiness Bhagavad Maharaj. So thank you for coming. So this is a very special day, of course. The day that we are observing the entrance into the eternal pastimes of the Lord, of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, Gurudev. So it's been 28 years now. So 28 years ago, this happened. Which is 28 years. There are some of us here who are not yet born that time. So the time goes very fast. And Srila Gurudev passed away around 7 p.m., isn't it? 7:15 p.m. Just about the same time Srila Prabhupada also left, at the same time. Right, Maharaj? Srila Prabhupada left around 7:15 p.m.? 7:14 p.m. So it's around the same time Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj also left in 1996, which is the disappearance day. It was the appearance day of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And then in the evening time, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj left the planet. So, which means the same day we are celebrating Avibhav, and the same day we are celebrating Avibhav. So, as Srila Narottam Das Thakur said, that the Lord's devotees, they perform the lila, the pastimes of coming and going. They appear and then they disappear. But so appearance and disappearance is not of this material world. The appearance and disappearance. When we live entities, somebody like myself, we are born because of due to Maya Samsara, the Samsara Maya, having been born in the repetition of birth and death. So we come and then we take birth, and then, which has been going on for countless numbers of births, and hopefully we come in contact with a Sadguru, a real Sadhu, who will give us his blessing to take us out of this material world. But the pure devotees are not like that. They are Krishna's eternal associate. Just like Lord Krishna, he appeared and disappeared. Similarly, also his pure devotees, they also do the same thing. This is just in order to increase the Lord's pastimes. So this appearance and disappearance is not an ordinary thing. So Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, as many have known, was definitely not an ordinary person. He was caliber of those great devotees, those who are great associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now, of course, it so happened that many of us in ISKCON, when Gour Govinda Maharaj was here, he was not known by many devotees for a long period of time, especially if we're in the Western world. So he wasn't known. He wasn't known until very late stage of his manifest presence. He was not known. But it's Krishna's own arrangement. But I remember even myself, I came to know him only after being in the movement for at least 20 years before I came to know him. So he was such an unknown person, per se. And of course, this is due to misfortune on our part that we didn't get to know such a person at the early stage of his manifest presence of ISKCON. And of course, someone like Bhajan Maharaj, he was a great person who was in the Bhubaneswara with Maharaj back in the pioneering days of ISKCON. So, but many of us were not. So, there are many qualities that distinguish him from other devotees. The main thing is that his soul attachment to Gaura Lila Katha, to Jagannath Katha, and he's been able to transport that, to plant that into the hearts of the listeners. For example, I can only talk in terms of my own experience, that the first time I heard him, it's like I've never heard such a katha before, never heard it before. You know, the first time I heard him, that, in terms of speaking about the glories, about the pastimes of Jagannath, the manifestation of Jagannath form, and what it means. So this was I never knew that such a thing existed. So, and then of course the great fortune is that by hearing his message, so we became attracted. We became attracted to the message. And he was such a dynamic preacher, lion-like, very fierce preacher. Especially if you're fortunate to be in his class, he will usually put you on the spot. That, are you chanting properly? He will put you on the spot. I remember one time he asked me, Ishwaradas, how are you? I said, I'm fine. So, and he started laughing. He said, you are fine. You're on the lap of Maya. And then you say you are fine. It was early morning when he asked me that question. And then the Bhagavatam class, that morning, he was on that basis. He would say, see, Ishwara Das, cheating. He said that he's thinking it's fine. Being on the lap of Maya, he said that it's fine. So, but even though he was such a fierce preacher, be able to remove everyone's false ego, but at the same time, he was always a sadhu. Very, the only time you find him very fierce like a lion is when it's on his Vyasa side, but in his own personal life, he was very, gentle, very humble. It's like, I don't know, there was one devotee who was He was always being put on the spot by Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj in the classes. He was always being put on the spot. So this devotee started feeling maybe, he's doing something that is very wrong. And then after the class, then he went to have the darshan of Gurudev Maharaj. He went to have darshan. And he asked him that, is there anything that I'm doing that is wrong, that I've been on the spot? Is there, what is wrong with me? What's wrong with me? So Maharaj replied that, this is my preaching. This is just, in a very, very affectionate way, he said, this is, I have to preach this way so that people can understand, can be free, can get rid of the false ego. Because with the false ego, we are thinking that, we are somebody, Whereas, it's like Maharaj, like Gurudev, was able to, it's like pinprick upon us about that. So, there are lots of recollections which are there. But the main thing is that now, after a long period of time, after more than 20 years now, 28 years now, that Gurudev have left, there are many, many devotees who begin to appreciate his teaching. There are many devotees who will say that, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj is my Siksha Guru, even though they've never met him before. But they all start claiming that, it's my Siksha Guru, because they did this by reading his book and by hearing more about his about his teachings, and also hearing from the devotees who have had a personal association with him. So many started saying that, it's my Siksha Guru. So which means we had a very wonderful gem in ISKCON, which is Gour Govinda Maharaj. So I'm sure there are other devotees. I think it's about to tell me to stop talking. Okay. Any minute. So, and one other thing that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj will always be teaching was that in ISKCON, normally devotees are very, very much anxious to go outside the ISKCON to look for nectar, to look for something, to look for higher knowledge. But Govinda Maharaj, his teaching is that he wants to show that everything is in Prabhupada's book. Everything is there. Because sometimes you go out and you hear that, Prabhupada only taught ABC. He did not teach you the remaining alphabet. But Srila Govinda Maharaj said that his mission is to show that everything's in Prabhupada's book. And it's up to us to really find it out. So, anyway, I'm sure we all received the blessing of Maharaj. We all received his blessing that we continue to execute this process of Krishna consciousness. So thank you very much. Srila Gour Maharaj, Srila Gurudev ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gopi Manande.
Thank you so much, Ishwar Prabhu. So now we would like to request Sarvadrik Prabhu. He told that he has little time, so he wants to make his glorification. Sarvadrik Prabhu, where is he? Prabhu, there. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Mama Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shanakaya Chakshurunmilitam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Nama Shishtam Anumapi Sachiputramatra Sarupam Rupam Tasyagajamuripade Matarim Vaishnavatim Radha Kundam Girivaram Mahorajikamadavasam Prapto Yasya Pratita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi Tvam Gopika Visharavisthani Antakesi Sevadikari Guru Nijapadu Padmi Dasyam Pradaya Kurumam Vengrise Vanarase Sukhinim Sugabdo Radha Sammukha Sangsakting Sakhi Sangani Vasanim Tamaham Satatam Vande Madhavashraya Vigraham Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghujago Shri Jiva Gopalaka Vande Nandad Puteshwayam Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nichopi Yat Prasadat Sad Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka Nityanandamaham Nomi Sarvanandakaram Param Harinama Padam Devam Vavaduta Shiromi Vilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannataya Te Namaha Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Haripriya Vanshakopatu Vishta Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha. Before speaking, I beg to offer my Ananta Koti Shastanga Dandavat Pranam at the lotus feet of my revered godbrother Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, all sannyasis, Sarva Yatibhyo Namaha, all grihastas, brahmacharis, all of you, the inheritors of the legacy that is given to us by our acharyas. Ishwar Prabhu mentioned something very important, that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj traveled all over the world in his advanced age. I remember him in Denver, Colorado, offering Dandavat Pranam to Radha Govinda. But his body being so emaciated, he had to be helped up off the floor by his disciples. In that condition, he's traveling all over the world, to Australia, to Europe, to America, all over India. This is the meaning of Acharya. Someone who shows by his example, who puts his life on the line for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what was his message? Ishwar Prabhu touched on that. To preach to the preachers, to preach to the senior devotees of this institution, ISKCON, that is the vehicle through which the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is being distributed all over the world. We take the dust of the lotus feet of any Vaishnava. We'll bathe their feet and drink the water. But it is this institution that has made the impact and brought the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. And its devotees like His Holiness, His Divine Grace, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, that is chief amongst us. This institution has not seen a devotee like this devotee, who was walking Bhagavatam, walking Chaitanya Charitamrita, walking Chaitanya Bhagavat, Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata, speaking from his heart to preach to the preachers. And what was his message? He said, never leave ISKCON. He said, I'll cut my head before I leave ISKCON. And he asked his disciples to do the same thing. He asked us all to stick to the lotus feet of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. We're observing tomorrow the holy appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. 150th anniversary. Joyful celebration. We owe our life to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's preaching campaign. But who is the most favored son of all of his disciples who fulfilled the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? Prabhupada. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Saraswati Thakur wanted temples. ISKCON has more than 800 temples and preaching centers on the face of this globe. He wanted disciples. There are millions of people whose lives have been changed by the touch of the message of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. He wanted prasadam distribution. 1 million people every day are taking prasadam from the hand of an ISKCON devotee. He wanted book distribution. They worshipped the printing press at Chaitanya Math with arati and dupam deepam naivedyam. They're worshipping the printing press. Unfortunately, it was sold to pay legal bills. He wanted book distribution. This society has distributed almost 300 million books. This is the mission of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, fulfilled by this institution, of whom this extraordinary devotee was primary representative. Should we not follow his footsteps and never leave ISKCON? Are there problems? Yes. Will there be problems in the future? Yes. Were there problems when Prabhupada was here? Yes, there were. This is the material world. We should expect problems. We should expect strife. We should expect disagreement. But they're resolved by the mercy of our acharyas. Because this is the method to understand God. Ruhuganai tattvasanayati nacheshya nirvatanam grahadva. The chandasa naivaja lagnasran vinamahat padavajo bhishekam. Krishna is not available from Krishna. We get Krishna from his devotee, from the dust of the lotus feet of his pure devotee. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite par tomara shakati ache. Amito kanga Krishna Krishna bole dai tava pache pache. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed that Krishna is yours. Krishna becomes the property of a pure devotee. And because Krishna belongs to pure devotee, he's controlled by pure devotee can give him to you. So what is our position? We're kangal, beggars, fallen souls. How do we get Krishna? We run behind the pure devotee chanting Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. This is the process. So Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj traveled all over the world. When he can hardly move, he's traveling all over the world. Is there any doubt what we should be doing? Representing our Guru Parampara, with due respect to all Vaishnavas, representing the foremost son, the one singular person who received full benefit, full blessing from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we call him Prabhupada, not Swami Maharaj. Prabhupada is not an exclusive title. It is a title, it is an honorific, but it is not an exclusive honorific. We can say Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. It is an honorific meant for the devotee who makes an extraordinary contribution to the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Who has done more? Who even comes close to what Srila Prabhupada has done? This is the message of this great Acharya, and I'm trying to repeat, following in his footsteps for my benefit and hopefully for yours if you can hear this message. Thank you very much. Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Itai Gaur Premanande.
Thank you for your wonderful and powerful glorification, Prabhu. So now we would like to request Bhagavad Maharaj to come to the podium for the glorification. Bhagavad Maharaj was Bhagavad Maharaj was ordered by Srila Prabhupada to go to Bhubaneswar to help Gour Govinda Swami with the project in Bhubaneswar. So he will share his personal experiences with our Gurudev, Gour Govinda Swami, and we're looking forward to that.
unlike my esteemed god brother, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. If I were to lay down on the floor and offer obeisances, I would not be able to get up and no one could pick me up. So I do the best I can. I want to sing Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj's favorite bhajan. It is called Kripa Koro Vaishnav Thakur. When you hear the song, you will understand. It is written by Thakur Bhaktivinoda. Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakura Koro Vaishnava Thakura Sambandha Janiya Bhajite bhajite abhimana haudura Banda janiya bhajite bhajite abhimana haudura Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakura Amito Vaishnava e Buddhi hoile Amyanina hobo ami Amito Vaishnava e Buddhi hoile Amanina hobo ami Pratishta sa asi Hridaya dushibe Hoibo nirayagami Hoibo nirayagami Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakura Tomara kinkara apane janibo Guru abhimana tyagi Tomara kinkara apane janibo Guru abhimana tyagi Tomara uchista padajalarenu Saranishka pate baji Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakura Nija Shrestha Jani Uchishtadi Dane Hoibe Abhiman Bara Thai Shishya Thaba Thakiya Sarvada Nalaibo puja kara Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakura Amani Manada Hoile Kirtane Adhikara Dibe to me Amani Manada Hoile Kirtane Abhidhara Dube to me Tomara Charane Nishkapate Ami Kandiya Luti Bobumi Kandiya Luti Bobumi Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakura Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur, Vaishnav Thakur, Jaya Vaishnav Thakur. Jai Vaishnav Thakur ki, Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Go Premanande. O Vaishnav Thakur, please give me your mercy, knowledge of my relationship with Bhagavan, and the ability to do Bhajan, sending my false ego far away. If I think I am a Vaishnava, then I will never become humble. My heart will be contaminated with the hope of receiving honor from others, and I will surely go to hell. Give me the mercy that I can renounce the false conception of my being Guru and can be your servant. Let me accept without duplicity your remnants and your footbath. By thinking that I am superior, a guru, and giving my remnants to others, I will bring about my destruction. Let me always identify as your disciple and not accept any worship or praise from others. In this way, I can renounce the desire for honor for myself and can offer respect to others. Weeping sincerely at your lotus feet and rolling on the ground, I pray that you will give me the ability. Kripa Koro Vaishnav Thakur. So, by listening to these explanations of these verses in English, you can understand why this Bhajan was very dear to Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj's heart. Because he was always the emblem of sincerity and humility. When Srila Prabhupada ordered me to live with the Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, it was not an easy thing for me to do. I already had an invitation to go to New York to be the Bhakta leader for so many devotees and to live in a more comfortable situation. But instead, I had to accept the order of my Guru Maharaj and stay there and live with Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj in a mud hut and take bath outside and relieve my body outside in a little thatched room. So this was very difficult for me. But as I gradually lived with Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, I understood the treasure that Srila Prabhupada had given me. The intimate association of a greatly advanced pure devotee a Priya Narma devotee, a Priya Saki devotee of the Supreme Lord and his eternal consort, Srimati Radhika. He was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada loved him so much. I remember from the very first time he explained me, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj told me all the stories about how he first met Srila Prabhupada. How when he'd been looking all over the world, all over India, all over the world, India is the world for those who are understanding. And he was looking all over India for a guru, and he wanted two things. He wanted Gaur and he wanted Gopal. So he named himself Gour Gopal. His actual name was Brajabandhu. Brajabandhu? Malik? Was that? Manik. And so he was looking everywhere, and when he came to Vrindavan, he came to eat one day at the temple, and eating at the temple, they gave him a Bhakti Godhead, and he was reading the article of Srila Prabhupada, and he saw that Prabhupada was talking about Lord Chaitanya and about Gopal. So he looked, he said, this is my guru. I understand this is my guru. So he wanted to see Prabhupada, and he asked some devotees, can I go and see Prabhupada? No, you can. Because he was just as a sadhu with matted hair, and he was living in a very austere and simple way. So they didn't think that he should go inside to see Prabhupada. So what he did was he waited very carefully for some time. He told me, I was waiting and I was watching. I saw Prabhupada's room and I saw the door. And he said, I saw who was in the room and who wasn't, and when the door was open and when there was free, and then I just snuck inside. And he said, I went in the room and I offered my obeisances and started talking with Srila Prabhupada. And the servant came out and said, Prabhupada, is this man disturbing you? Should we tell him to go? Prabhupada said, no, we are having a conversation. So then he told Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada about it. Prabhupada, you know how Srila Prabhupada, what is your name? What is your family? Where do you come from? What profession were you in? So he was telling him about his history. And Prabhupada was very impressed with him. Right from the beginning, he was very impressed with him. So he told Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj very quickly that I will give you sannyas and I will send you to Orissa and you will make your own disciples. Right from the beginning, that instruction was there. Right from the beginning. So this was understood that this would be the service of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. So then he asked Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, because he was a master linguist. He had gone to the university, he studied English language as a primary and Sanskrit as a secondary. So he knew English, Sanskrit, Hindi, Bengali, and Oriya. He knew 5 languages. He was a brilliant speaker and linguist. So he was asked by Prabhupada, can you translate my lecture into Hindi? So he said, yes, I can do that. So he called his servant, he said, give him one writing pad and one pencil and bring me the BTG. So he gave the writing pad and the pencil, and Prabhupada said, I want you to translate this lecture from BTG. So he told me that he took it in the next room and he translated it into Hindi, and Srila Prabhupada sat and read it. He said, okay. So now you can come and live here and be a brahmachari and translate my books into other languages. And Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj told me that then he instructed the servant that you shave him up and bathe him and give him new clothes, brahmachari clothes, and give him a room where he can translate the books. And so from the beginning, that was his service. And when I lived with him in Orissa, he was doing that. Every day he had a schedule that he will recite, do his japa, Mangal Arti and japa, and then so many prayers he recited. He had a little diary and a book, and he recited so many prayers. Then after reciting all the prayers, then he would also do the translation work. He was translating many of Srila Prabhupada's books. And then he would write in his diary. And only after he completed all of his duties would he eat. He wouldn't eat or drink until he completed his duties in the morning. He was very rigid about this responsibility. And I observed it in him. I observed how he always depended on Krishna no matter what. He was, one time I had to go to Bombay for some BBT business. And when I came back, he was lying on the floor, sick. So I said, Maharaj, what's the matter? He said, oh, I am an offender. I said, you're not an offender. How you could say that you are an offender? No, I am an offender. When you were gone, Vaishnav Das left. I had to bathe the deities. I left the deities open for a while. So they got some draft, they got cold, and they gave me cold. So now I have fever. This was how he saw it. So I said, well, I can get my Ayurvedic doctor to come in. No, there's no medicine. Medicine is only Harinam. Only Harinam is medicine. So for 3 days he laid there with fever and shivering and coughing and chanting. All day, all night chanting. Then after 3 days, he got up, he said, okay, Gaur-Nitai have forgiven me, now my disease is gone. This was the kind of nishta that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj had. So deep nishta. He told me that one time in their village, when he was a grihasta, that there was a big, hurricane. I don't know, you call it typhoon here? Yeah. So this came, and he wanted to protect his family. So he took this one very large duri, these big rugs, and in the middle of his house, he stood up with the duri on his head, and he brought all the children and his wife under the duri. And he made them sit there and chant with him. And he chanted and chanted and chanted and chanted. And they could hear the noise, the hurricane, the winds, everything go everywhere. And so many things banging and smashing and so many things they could hear. Then everything stopped. When it stopped, he took off the rug and the hurricane was over. And the whole village was leveled. Everything. His house, everybody else's house, all the rooms, everything. There was nothing. It was all flat. It had all been destroyed. But he was untouched because he was devoted to the holy name and always chanting the holy name. He told me this story personally. There's one very deep, intimate story that Srila Prabhupada that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj told me. He used to translate, I would have him translate the books, little books, because I was trying to give out books for 1 or 2 rupees at the time in Orissa, because Orissan people were very poor. So he would translate like Perfection of Yoga and other small books like this, and we would have them, I would arrange for them to be printed. That was my responsibility. I would go to get paper. It is not like today. You cannot go to a store and buy paper to print a book. I had to get permission from the government for the paper. So I had to go to a government office, and there was no computer. This is BC, before computers. So there was everywhere like 25 men in the room. And I had to fill out 25 pages form. And I would put the form on, and then the first guy, does the one form. Then he gives to the next guy, he does the next form. This is how they employed everybody in India. So like this, the forms made their way, but everyone was expecting something under the table, and I didn't know anything about this. So after 1 week of not getting any response, I went to somebody and they said, look, they are afraid to ask you because you are a Bideshi, you are a foreigner. They don't want to ask you for money, but that's what they want. They want money. So I said, well, what can I do? He said, you go upstairs and you see the man in charge and you give him some, because in those days in the 70s, there was no books like Prabhupada's books. His books were like bombs. They exploded on the market. People were going crazy because they saw these beautiful 4-color prints of Krishna and beautiful paintings and so many nice, beautiful paper and everything. So I went upstairs and gave him a Gita and a Krishna book, and he said, okay, don't worry. Then he went downstairs and he said, okay, you fill out the form. So that all the 25 people had to sign off on the forms. And then I got the paper. Then the paper was delivered. I had to bring the paper to the printer because we had no place to store the paper. We only had 2 mud huts. So then I would bring it to the printer. Then the printer would, and this was typeset. This was not the other, what they do now. No, typeset. You have to put all each letter of the page have to be put in backwards. And then they made an impression. Then I took the impression to Gour Govinda, then he edited each page. Then he would give it back to me. Then they would make a new impression with the edits. Then I would bring it back to him again. I'm going back and forth like this. And so like this, we managed to print these books and distribute them on Sankirtan. Then, when he was doing the Gita, one day he asked me a question. He was very humble. He was asking my advice about this work. He was a master linguist, but he was asking my advice. So he said, you know, I'm translating the word for word in the Bhagavad Gita. And as I'm translating it word for word, what the English word that Prabhupada uses is very different from the Orisen word which I would use to explain that Sanskrit word. Very different. If the scholars see it, they will make some remark that I have improperly translated this word for word. So what do you think I should do? I said, well, how many have you seen like this? He said, about 50. So I said, well, why don't you keep making a record and then you can check with some Sanskrit scholar and try to work it out. So he said, yes, I have an idea like that. I will do that. So he had 190 some odd corrections that he wanted to make. So he went to see the professor who taught him Sanskrit in his university, because that professor was very renowned. Now he was retired. He was in his 70s. So he asked that professor. He said, I'm going to his village. I will be there for a week. We will go over all these corrections. So about a week or 10 days later, he and the professor came to see me in the hut. So when they came back, the professor was a very sweet man, very humble, very nice. And he offered his respect to me, and I'm a young boy, I was 27, so I offer my respect to him. Then he said, I came here to see you. I said, really? Why? He said, because I wanted to see how this book made Western people into Vaishnavas. I wanted to see that. He said, I was so impressed. He said, I want to tell you something. I am 75 years old. I have been studying Sanskrit since I'm 5. For 70 years I have studied this language. When I first looked at the word-for-word translations from Sanskrit into English, I could not see that they were accurate according to my first pass, my first review. But your Swami, meaning Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, he kept pushing me. No. If my Guru Maharaj said this is the word, then it must be correct. You have to find it. So he kept pushing me. I was looking through one dictionary after another, one thesaurus after another, trying to find these words. After a long time, at the insistence of your Swami, I found each and every one of these words translated from Sanskrit into English. I found the equivalents. When I saw them, I was shocked. Because when I saw how he was using that English word in the verse in English, I saw how it brought out the deep inner meaning of the verse in a way that the word we would regularly use would not do. He said, then I could understand. He said, I would never have used these words. I'm a great scholar of this language, but I would not have used these words. But your Guru Maharaj used them. He said, now I can understand that your Guru Maharaj was the greatest Sanskrit scholar. So this was his nishta, his Guru nishta. So devoted to Srila Prabhupada. He would not give up. He kept pushing me. Oh, you have to find, you have to find, you have to find. So I was very fortunate to be with him. I was very devastated when I heard. I was in Florida at the time. I was working. I had a family. I was devastated to hear that he left. When he came to America the first time, I was in New York, and I received him in Prabhupada's room in Brooklyn Temple. And he saw me, and his eyes lit up. He said, oh, you are here. Now that I see you here, I feel safe. I feel comfortable because you are my old friend. He was so kind to me. So I said, Maharaj, I asked you so many times before to come with me to the West and preach. Why you are coming now? He pulled me close to him. He said, Prabhupada came to me and told me, you have to go and preach to them. They have become confused. So then I understood that he was Srila Prabhupada's direct emissary to explain what Srila Prabhupada wanted in his books. Because it was there in his books, but we were not hearing it, we were not listening it, we were not understanding it. And hearing the transcendental sound vibration from the lips of a great pure devotee like Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, the books became opened and revealed to all those who were not catching the meanings that Prabhupada was giving. Just like with these word-for-word translations. He was qualified to do this work. So, when he came later on to Florida, when I was working before he left this world, I rented a house for him and I rented a car for him. I think Madhavananda was there at the time, and he was preaching in Alachua. And then he left from there, and I saw him a few other times. But then in '96, he left on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day. And it was very heartbreaking for me. So, I have made some decisions in my life after Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj left. And somehow or other, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, they have always remained with me. my godbrother Peter Das, I have the quote on my computer. He asked Srila Prabhupada, when you leave, how will we understand what you want, what we should do? He said, when you need me, I will come to you in dream and give you instructions. And so in this way, Srila Prabhupada came to me many times in dream and gave me instructions. And Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj also came to me several times in dream and gave me instructions. In 1976, when Srila Prabhupada wrote to all the devotees that they should not associate with his godbrothers, he wrote me a letter and told me directly, I want you to associate with Bhakti Daitya Madhav Maharaj and learn from him how to collect donations. He was the biggest donation collector for my Prabhupada. I want you to learn the art from him, which I did. I went and I learned from him. He also orally instructed me to preach with Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj and with the Srila Narayan Maharaj. So he gave me direct instructions in his manifest presence and reinforced those instructions later on in dream. He came to me in a dream when I was in my household life, and he was taking all the clothes out of my drawers and putting them in the suitcase. He was telling me to go. And then, what happened? Everyone's going out. And then, okay, I'll finish. And then, and then Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj came to me in a dream and he instructed me that you leave this household life and you go to take sannyas. So I received instructions from both of them to follow this path. I also refused to take any disciples until Srila Prabhupada came to me in a dream and said that I could. This has always been my way. I wait for the order of my Guru Maharaj. He has given me the orders, and based on his orders and instructions, I have followed them. Please excuse me for any offenses which I have made or any problems which I have created. I have only tried to follow the orders of my Diksha and Shiksha Guru. Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was a blessing for me because he taught me the real understanding of how to surrender to the Guru, how to accept the Guru's orders. And based on his instructions and based on his example in his life, I continued to follow the process of Krishna consciousness to serve Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. I was very blessed and very honored to be in his association and to serve him, and I learned invaluable lessons from doing so. I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words about the glories of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Thank you, Maharaj, so much for your sharing of your intimate relationship with Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. The song you sang in the beginning, we're very grateful for that, because now we have the smartphone. In those days, we didn't know what Gurudev was saying, you know. We just had to make something out and try to pronounce a little bit. because he was singing all these amazing songs, but basically nobody knew. No? Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs and like that. So thank you for singing that song, and thank you for your wonderful glorification. Hare Krishna. So now, last year, Madalasa Devi Dasi, my wife, she was not able to end her offering. So I got many complaints from the devotees here, and I want to make sure that this year she can tell her story in full detail. So I would like to request her to come up to the floor. If somebody is thirsty, there is some water outside, and like all the doors of the auditorium are open, so I see many people coming in from this side, devotees. So there are other doors as well. So please kindly use this.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimad Gour Govinda Swami Namne. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne. Namaste Saraswati Devem Gauramani Pracharine Nirvisesh Sunivadi Paschatadi Sitarine. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. So, dear devotees, welcome to this festival, and please pray for blessings for me that I can make a good offering for my Gurudev. Today, I would like to share with you 3 important events which took place here in Mayapur, and Haribol, can you hear me? Haribol? Haribol? Okay. Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Okay. So I would like to share with you 3 important events which took place here in Mayapur. And all these 3 events have in common that it took place here in Mayapur during Gaur Purnim time, and it was related to Srila Gour Govinda Swami, my dear Gurudev. The first event was of a personal kind. It describes how I met Srila Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj here in Mayapur. And the second event was 45 years ago in 1979. Then Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj showed symptoms of bhava. That was a mind-blowing esoteric event, but unfortunately, sadly enough, it was not shared to the whole of ISKCON community. The third event, which I like to share with you, is a sensitive, traumatic, controversial subject. It's especially traumatic for his devotees, for his disciples and followers. I would like to share with you the circumstances which led to Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj leaving his body here in Mayapur. and that was 28 years ago, in 1996. So I will start with the first event, the personal event. As a teenager, I read Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is. I became a vegetarian. I started to chant Hare Krishna. And by visiting the temples, I realized, later on when I visited the temples, I realized I need a guru. I need a bona fide guru. And at first, with my puffed up mind and arrogant intelligence, I thought I can do it myself. I can find this bona fide guru myself. But after a few years of searching, I could understand that I was doing something wrong and that I had failed. So I became very frustrated, felt very helpless, hopeless, and then started to pray and cry to my spiritual hero, Srila Prabhupada. And I prayed and cried to Srila Prabhupada, please, please, Prabhupada, send me someone like you. And very soon after this, my friends took me to India, and we came also here to Mayapur. That was in February 92. And the GBC meetings were going on at that time. We stayed at the Lotus building, and I would go to morning class in the Radha Madhav hall. And one day for morning class, I heard an old sannyas speaking. He was chanting many slokas, and he had a very Indian accent, and I had difficulty following to understand him. The only thing what I could understand of the topic he was speaking about was Krishna becomes indebted to his devotee. I was very much intrigued, and I tried to listen attentively, but I couldn't follow him. I couldn't understand him. So my mind got distracted a bit. So I looked around in the temple hall. Then I noticed on the left side where he was sitting just before Nrsingadev, the same Vyasasana, devotees are still sitting today and preaching. On the left side, I saw a group of sannyasis sitting, all with their dandas up, and I recognized a few of them as being GBC. I remember that I felt a very strong feeling of tension, and I didn't know why. I kept a diary at that time, so I read in my diary that this old sannyas is speaking a very intimate subject. Krishna becomes indebted to his devotee, and I also mentioned in my diary that I don't know why, but I sense a very strong feeling of tension. And I mentioned also these GBC, the sannyasis sitting. So I had no idea what was going on. I was new in the movement, only 4 or 5 years in ISKCON. And I tried to focus again on the lecture, but it was very difficult for me to follow his language. So suddenly, this old sadhu, he folded his hand and said, please excuse me for my faulty language. And then he bowed down to all and offered manchakalpas. This act of humility, it really struck me, and it really touched my heart. And at the same time, a voice in my head told me, notified me, this is the spiritual master you've been looking for. So this is how I met Srila Gour Govinda Swami here in Mayapur 32 years ago in Radha Madhav's temple hall. And later I found out his name is Srila Gour Govinda Swami. So this precious gift from Srila Prabhupada, my hero, that my prayers was answered. And I would like to mention that at that time I could not follow him, but I realized that I was listening with my arrogance, with my puffed up mind. And later when I met him, I had no trouble, any difficulties to understand him, because I listened with my heart. And then there was no bar, there was no problem with the language. So soon after Mayapur, meeting Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj here, then I met him again in Hartford, Connecticut, and in Los Angeles Temple. The thing I noticed there was that hardly anyone was visiting his lectures. Actually, no one. For example, in Los Angeles Temple, there's a big temple hall. Usually, it would be filled up with devotees. I would go to the morning classes and would always be packed with devotees. But one day, when he was giving class, I was a little bit late, and I was rushing to the temple. On my way, I passed by the Govinda's restaurant, which is next to the temple, and I saw it fully packed with local Los Angeles community devotees. And I stopped and I thought, oh, perhaps class has been canceled. But then I heard Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj's voice singing in a typical way, you all know. And then I thought, oh, Gurudev is giving class. So I rushed to the temple, expecting it to be fully packed, because why else was the Govinda's restaurant fully loaded? Because there was no place in the temple, perhaps. So when I came into the temple, I was fully surprised. There was no one there, except for Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj sitting on the Vyasa Asana with a few disciples, like Rasikananda Prabhu, Madhavananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu, you may all know them, with a few other disciples. And I felt very awkward and to see this. But I didn't ask any questions. I thought it was not proper to do that. So it was a wonderful class. After class, then I followed Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj and his few disciples out of the temple, and I noticed there was some discussion. And when they were walking, we passed by that same Govinda's restaurant, still fully loaded with devotees. And I remember that I felt so blissful. The lecture was blissful, to be with my Gour Govinda Maharaj, who I had accepted in my heart, and I felt like a puppy walking behind him, very excited, very happy, blissful. But I noticed that there was a discussion going on, and that there was some tension, remarks, and I noticed also that no one paid obeisances or noticed him. And usually when a sannyas pass by, like most of the ISKCON devotees know Vaishnava etiquette, they bow down, but none of this all. And I noticed that that there was some speaking between Gour Govinda Maharaj and his disciple, and I noticed that that was quite painful. To see that, I felt also a little bit embarrassed, a bit painful, because it was my Guru Maharaj, and I saw that he was being ignored. So that was not such a nice feeling. And at that time, I knew nothing about the controversies around Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, the politics, and also him being banned from entering ISKCON temples. In the 4 years that we had some little association, between 92 and 96, we found ourselves surprisingly in the middle of all turbulences. Because my husband, Anupam Das, and myself, we became, without our own will, the center of some politics, some turbulation. Because we had invited Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj to our private home in Holland in the summer of '95, and we received notion that he was not allowed to come and enter the ISKCON temples. There were lots of disturbances at that time in the Holland-Belgium Yatra. So this decision was made, and it was very difficult for us to get recommendation for initiation. This all created, and also heavy preaching, maybe also fanatical preaching by his followers and disciples, created a lot of disturbances and problems for Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. My husband will fill you in some more details later. So the second event which I would like to share with you, which happened also here in Mayapur, in 1979, some 45 years ago. It was during Gaur Purnim time, and all the ISKCON sannyasis were invited to a program at the Gaudiya Math temple nearby. Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was also a sannyas, so he also went there. And during an ascetic kirtan there in the Gaudiya Math temple, he fainted. He fell to the ground and started to moan and roll around in the dust. No one knew what was going on. They thought, what is happening here? They decided to bring him back to the ISKCON compound and to a room in the long building where Lagudi Prabhu is staying. And they asked Lagudi Prabhu, who is a disciple of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj from Australia, they asked to take care of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. And no one actually knew what was going on. In this, what happened is that they thought that he was suffering from high fever, so they brought several Ayurvedic doctors and regular doctors, but they came and examined him and they said, no, there's nothing wrong with him. He's perfectly fine, he's healthy. And then they thought maybe he's possessed by a ghost. So they brought an exorcist, a tantric from Navadvip, and when he came, he examined Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, and he said, no, this is no ghost. This is definitely not a ghost. But what was it then? So then someone brought in Srila Akinchana Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, all went known very well to us. Srila Prabhupada used to call this godbrother of him a Paramahamsa, a swan-like devotee, a Kinchana, not attached to material desires, and a maha-bhagavata. So it's obvious that it takes a maha-bhagavata to recognize a maha-bhagavata, right? So when Akinchana Das Babaji Maharaj went into the room in the long building, he saw the situation of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, and then he took a thread from his dhoti, he put it on the nose of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, and then he felt at his head, he checked his pulse, he checked his eyes, and then he laughed. He said, Bhava, Bhava. And then he paid obeisances to Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, and he told the people, the devotees there, he is in Krishna's pastime. He is in Krishna Prem. He is maha-bhagavata. Do not disturb him. So it takes a maha-bhagavata to recognize a maha-bhagavata, isn't it? So while interviewing Lagudi Prabhu on this topic in Sydney, 1990, in Australia, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was present there. And after the interview, they asked him for comments, and he said, just smiled, what I'll say. So it's very, very sad and unfortunate that this esoteric event, mind-blowing event, was not shared with the whole of ISKCON, with the Gaudiya Vaishnava society. And after this esoteric event, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj started to preach very strongly, very heavily about Guru Tattva, Jiva Tattva, Gaura Tattva, all over the world. And then he became known as a Tattva Acharya, Tattva preacher, in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So, what was the mission of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj? The fact that he was a powerful preacher with a mission was understood and acknowledged also by Vaishnavas outside ISKCON, outside our Sampradaya. For example, in the year of 1980, there was a South Indian Brahmin who came to the Bhubaneswar land, and his name was Badri Narayan Ramanuja from the Sri Rangam temple, from the Sri Sampradaya, South India. He was born in a Vaishnava family, Brahmin family. He has studied all the Vedic scriptures, read all maha-bhagavata, Ramayana, everything. And he was an astrologer, and he was very conversed in samudrikas. Samudrika means the ancient wisdom, science of recognizing the symptom of on the body of a maha-bhagavata. So when Badri Narayan Ramanuja came to the ISKCON Bhubaneswar land, he saw an effulgent sadhu chanting on his beads. He went inside the hut and introduced himself. Then this effulgent sadhu said, I am Srila Gour Govinda Swami. I am the servant, lowly servant of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And then this Badri Narayan Ramanuja went back to South India, to his Guru Maharaj, to Lakshman Ramanuja Jiya, who was the Acharya of the Sri Sampradaya in South India at that time, Sri Rangam. This Acharya was a mystic, astrologer, knew the science of samudrikas, and he told his Guru Maharaj that I think there is a maha-bhagavata preaching in ISKCON Bhubaneswar. Will you please go there and have a look? And on the request of his disciple, this Acharya there from Sri Rangam jumped on the train and went to Bhubaneswar. All the way from Sri Rangam to Bhubaneswar, 1,500 kilometers. It is said that's a hellish train ride, and he went there to ISKCON Bhubaneswar. When he came there, he saw Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. He paid obeisances. He went inside the hut and spoke with him. After he came out, he told the disciples who were outside, your Gurudev is definitely a Siddha Purusha, a Maha-Bhagavata. He's a self-effulgent personality. Such a personality is rarely seen on this planet Earth, and they come with a mission. He has come to fulfill a mission. He will live up to 90 years to fulfill his mission. So then, what was the mission of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj? The mission of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was to make the mission of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, very strong. That is a duty of a disciple, to make the mission of his Guru Maharaj very strong. So, Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada, came to the West, to the Western world, to preach the path of bhakti. And Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj came to these ISKCON centers to preach to the preacher, to make this mission of his Guru Maharaj, this branch of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, very strong. And by doing that, he was preaching very heavily, very strongly, the Siddhantas. And this, he also said that he got pain in his heart because other Vaishnavas from outside were criticizing Srila Prabhupada's movement, that they didn't know the Siddhanta properly, and therefore he really stressed on preaching to the preachers. And by doing so, also with the behavior of some of his disciples, it caused a lot of disturbances in ISKCON. And it gave a lot of pain to Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. So, the third event, which I would like to share with you, is the traumatic Tirobao event, which occurred here in February the 9th in 1996. That was 28 years ago. Then Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj decided to leave his body here in Mayapur. This event, this topic is sensitive, controversial, and very traumatic for his disciples and his followers. Because we have all heard that how he left his body in a glorious way, speaking Krishna Katha, the deepest Krishna Katha, speaking about Radha Krishna eye-to-eye union, and then he left his body. So, according to Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj from the Gaudiya Math, no one ever in the Gaudiya Sampradaya has left his body in such a glorious way, in this way. So, why then were his disciples so frustrated, so angry, so traumatized, so bitter? And they left, quite a few of them left ISKCON. Why were they stating heavy statements like, the GBC have driven Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj out of the mission of his Guru Maharaj. And Gour Govinda Maharaj has no other choice than to leave his body. Why did they say like this? And why did Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj decided to leave his body? He was not sick. It was not a heart attack. And he had the boon to leave his body at his own will. And why did he decide to leave? What did he feel? What did he experience? And what did his disciples experience? I would like to first quote Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, Srila Gurudev himself. He would, after the GBC meetings, he would come back to Bhubaneswar, and then he would share openly everything what had been discussed during the GBC meetings. Like in the GBC meetings of 93 and 95, he would tell the disciples about quarreling in the GBC. And in 95, he would mention the voting on Siddhanta about Jiva Tattva, which was very painful for him. So coming back to 93, he spoke about, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj spoke about his disciples, that when a guru accepts disciples, then the guru is judged through his disciples. So how are they acting? How are they behaving? If a disciple does something wrong, it reflects on his guru. So he compared this bad behavior like passing stool and urine on the lap of the father and the mother. And he said, this is coming to me. What shall I do? And he also indicated that other gurus have also disciples, good disciples, bad disciples. They also do wrong. But in his case, he felt that they are using that to criticize him. He was saying, oh, the disciples of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj are doing this thing, they were doing this thing, and the disciples of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj are bad, he's not taking good care of them. So he felt that he was being hit on his head, and he said, I have to tolerate this. So after 95, the GBC meeting, when he came back to Bhubaneswar, he shared that he expressed his unhappiness about voting on the Siddhantas. And there was a voting on Jiva Tattva. he was very unhappy because he felt that it was not appropriate to vote on the Siddhanta. He said when there is some philosophical dispute, one should quote the Mahajans and the Shastras. It should not be settled by voting. It gives so much pain. And he said, if we fight, then bhakti will be lost to us, and that we will not be united in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So he said, however unpalatable the truth may be, we should speak this truth, because the Mahajan had said that we should speak the truth. He said, but also such danger is there to speak the unpalatable truth. Danger is on my head, like a sword hanging on my head, because I am speaking the unpalatable truth. And he said, it makes one afraid of speaking the truth. He said, I have also heard Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj will speak against the GBC. He said, I am facing such danger, like a sword hanging. At any moment, it may thrust into my head. I'm getting so much pain. It is growing every year. Therefore, I feel suffocated in Mayapur. Very, very suffocated. I cannot feel happy. Everything is decided there by majority vote. Finished, bas, decided. You cannot speak. Stop. We have decided already. It has to be voted on. No more talking. Finish. So voting on Siddhanta became very, very intolerable for him. He said, I am in a dilemma. I cannot decide what to do. A very dangerous period has come. So hearing this, naturally, the disciples, followers were anxious, and they went to Srila Gurudev and said, Srila Guru Maharaj, we don't need these people. We can leave ISKCON and we can start our own society. You have many disciples. It won't be a problem. So we can just leave ISKCON. Hearing this, he became very grave. Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj shook his head no, and he said, the only way I leave ISKCON is if someone cuts off my head. Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj considered ISKCON the mission of his beloved Srila Gurudev, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So he could in no means leave voluntarily the house of Srila Prabhupada. Clearly, the disciples who suggested this to him, perhaps they didn't quite understand his mission and the mood of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj to support the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So I would like to share some experiences from his disciples. For example, myself. I mentioned earlier that the first time I met him, I felt strong feelings of tension, and also that later in Los Angeles, I saw that he was being ignored, and there was also tension. And we experienced more things when we invited Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj in Holland in the summer of '95. I already mentioned there was lots of disturbances there by fanatic behavior, preaching by his preachers, followers, and disciples in Belgium, in Holland, in Radhadesh. So the local GBC decided that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj should not enter any ISKCON temples. We were summoned to come to the center of Radhadesh, the GBC, local GBC there, and we were told that he was not allowed to enter any ISKCON temples. So we were very devastated by it. We were very sad. But then we decided we would hold program in public halls, in private settings, at devotees' house, and to our own house. He stayed, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, or Gurudev, stayed for 1 week in our house in Holland. So he didn't violate any rules, ban of not entering ISKCON temples. But still, he ended up by this in lots of troubles. So, in January 96, we came to Bhubaneswar to attend the aesthetic Nityananda Triyodasi festival here. Srila Gurudev just came from his African tour to Bhubaneswar, and while he saw us, he asked his servant to tell us that he wanted to speak to us. So, a little surprised and also worried, we went to his hut in his room, and when we entered, he said, "You have invited me to your house in Holland. I came there, I preached, and now I am in trouble." And he showed us a letter he received from the GBC, mentioning that he had violated the laws of the ban of preaching in ISKCON temples in Holland and Belgium. So Gour Govinda Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, he told us, this issue has been put on the GBC agenda. Please come to me to Mayapur and explain in the GBC meeting what has actually happened. Please come with me. So this is how we ended up with Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, Srila Gurudev in Mayapur in February 96. This GBC meeting on this topic was scheduled for the 10th of February, and Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj left his body the evening before, on the 9th of February. Already in Bhubaneswar, in those days, before he came to Mayapur, lots of devotees, disciples, followers sensed some really inauspicious things, and they had lots of feelings that something really inauspicious was going to happen, that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj may leave his body. I also felt that the life of my Gurudev was in great danger. I didn't know how or what. And I prayed to the deities in Bhubaneswar to please protect my Gurudev. I came here in front of Nrsingadev, in front of Radha Madhav here in the temple in Mayapur, and I prayed to them to please protect my Gurudev. The danger was felt so much so that it was decided that two strong-bodied disciples of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj would post at his door in turns. And that was in room number 80 of the Kanch building where Srila Gurudev was staying. And we kept hearing so much rumors that there was a paper made by the GBC to kick Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj out of ISKCON. And we could see that our Gurudev was very, very sad, very, very grave, very unhappy. There was great tension around him here in Mayapur. He would not give any lecture. Usually he would give lectures in the temple or in his room, but he said, "I don't want to give lectures. I don't want any attention on me." So this was the situation then in February. So I would like to give some information I received from other devotees. I mentioned the South Indian Brahmin, the astrologer Badri Narayan Ramanuja from Sri Rangam earlier. He knew that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj came with the mission to make the mission of Srila Prabhupada, his Guru Maharaj, strong, and that he would live up to 90 years to fulfill this mission. So just a few days before Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj left Bhubaneswar to come to Mayapur, this astrologer, this Badri Narayan Ramanuja Das, he felt prompted to recalculate the chart of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. And to his astonishment, the chart has changed. He could see that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj would leave his body very soon. So very alarmed, he came to Bhubaneswar and he went to Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj with 3 messages. The first message he gave to Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was, don't go to Mayapur. Don't leave your body there. Don't go to Mayapur. Please, please stay in Bhubaneswar. Because all these astrologers knew that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj would live on this planet for 90 years to fulfill the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And they were very worried that he would leave untimely and that his mission would be cut short with 24 years. So they considered this as a major disaster. So what was the answer of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj when this Badri Narayan Prabhu gave him these 3 messages? Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj told him, my Guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu were very powerful. They are very powerful preachers. They can deal with the present situation which is going on. I personally cannot. So Badri Narayan Prabhu left Bhubaneswar with the understanding that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was going to Mayapur, that he would leave his Mayapur. And so he did, a few days later. So last year, I spoke also frankly about few things. And after my offering, a devotee came up to me, and the devotee told me, is it true that Harike Swami was going to kick out Srila Gour Govinda Swami out of ISKCON? And I told her, that devotee, that yes, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj disciple, they have been hearing these rumors for more than 30 years, but we couldn't get any confirmation. But we have been hearing these rumors for a long, long time. So short after that, another devotee approached us, and they confirmed, saying, Harike Swami and Suotra Swami had prepared a voting to kick Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj out of ISKCON. This devotee who mentioned this, he had a close relationship with the servant of Harike Swami. And according to this servant, Harike Swami had, together with Suotra Swami, had prepared a proposal to vote on kicking out Srila Gour Govinda Swami out of ISKCON. They had already been blocking Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj from entering to their respective places, like Germany, Holland, and Belgium. And he said that Harike Swami told Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj, you should leave ISKCON. And then a night before the voting, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj sent a message to Harike Swami saying, you don't need to do this voting. I cannot leave ISKCON, but I will leave my body very soon, and you will leave ISKCON in 2 years. And when Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj left his body after 4 days, Harike Maharaj was shaking and locked himself up in his room, and he left after a few years in ISKCON. This is what was shared by a devotee. So my personal belief is that the mission of Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was indeed cut short with 24 years. I'm convinced that he came to preach to the preachers, and that by preventing him to reach out to those preachers to enter ISKCON temples, that he couldn't really fulfill this mission, that his mission was hampered. And he made clear that there was danger on his head by preaching the Siddhanta, the fear of preaching the truth, and that he felt suffocated. He felt cornered, and he felt that they want him to leave ISKCON and that he couldn't leave ISKCON, the mission of his Guru Maharaj. So in my understanding that to prevent him being voted out or other things, he decided to use his boon and leave his body in a dignified way and at his own will, preaching Harikatha. And to end on a more positive note, I would like to mention 2 predictions which we received from 2 different sources that confirm that Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj couldn't complete his mission and will return to do so. So that he himself keeps himself hidden at the moment, and he will come at the right time to preach and unite the Vaishnavas of the different sampradayas. I don't have any tattvas to back up these predictions, but I wanted to share this with you. And sometimes some astrologers said Srila Govinda Maharaj is Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur come again. So I hope and pray that it might be true that a powerful preacher, Acharya, will come again in Srila Prabhupada's mission to unite all the devotees, all the sampradayas, all the Vaishnavas. I would like to express that what I have discussed here is not with the intention for revenge, anger, hate, or any negative emotion intention. It is just a communication to express the traumatic pain which a disciple feels when a divine treasure is lost, the treasure of our dear most Srila Gurudev. And there were so many controversies, especially in the Holland and Belgium Yatra, and there was no moral support for us there. Some said even Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj was a problem for ISKCON, and luckily Krishna took care of it by taking him away. To hear this was very painful for us. And I know that advanced disciples, they don't feel separation from their Guru Maharaj, but I am not an advanced disciple, and I do really miss my Gurudev. And when he left, I felt still a baby, a toddler, an orphan child who still needs the physical support of his father to hold his finger, to walk. And by seeing other gurus with their disciples and the loving dealings between them, we often tear up, and we would love to have that also with our Guru Maharaj for 24 years more. So in 95, I was fortunate enough to have initiation, and I heard this, that Srila Gurudev would live up to 90 years, and I couldn't believe my good fortune. I thought, wow, 5 years of everyday Sabda Brahma pouring from his lips and enlightening us. 25 years more of his merciful glance upon us, and 25 years of doing personal seva for him. I was just counting my blessings, and then suddenly it was over. So how did we, as his disciples, reconcile all these traumatic experiences? What did we do in these 28 years? Some of us took shelter outside ISKCON, but the one who remained, they worked very hard to get his teachings out, make books, make sure that the books are printed and to try to represent him with dignity and to share the deeper tattvas he has shared with the whole of ISKCON. And today we are very happy that after 30 years, many things have been changed. And I remember 30 years ago when someone would ask me, Mataji, who is your Guru Maharaj? I would say, Srila Gour Govinda Swami. And that Mataji would say, oh, Mataji, I have lots of seva to do. Please, excuse me. And then they would ignore me. But 30 years later, now, the same questions are asked. Mataji, who is your Guru Maharaj? And I will say, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj. And they will say, oh, Mataji, can I hug you? Can I touch your feet? You're so fortunate, Mataji. So indeed, after 30 years, many things have changed. And we are very grateful for that. So, Srila Gour Govinda Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Blijf je zitten. No. Okay. Mataji is distributing coupons, so we will have a 2-minute break. I'll just continue saying something. Madan Lesai and I, we both studied law. I ended up practicing law, but she's the better lawyer, as you can hear from her speech, isn't it? So we are both from Holland, and Dutch people are very straightforward. You know, we don't go right this or that, we say something straight to the face. And so I will, Marilisa, she mentioned that certain parts of her speech offering, she left open some things for me. So I will speak now something about what was left open. She's very organized. She has this thing. I just have my papers like this. So, Omagani Tamiranda Shekanandanas, Lakaya, Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Goravina Maha. Vishnu Panay, Krishna Prasthaya Buddha Smiti, Gour Govinda Swami Namane, Namo Vishnu Panay, Krishna Prasthaya Buddha Smiti, Bhaktivinata Swami Namane, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharini. So Srila Gurudev always said, when you do glorification, you should include Shastra, because if you don't include Shastra, it is just sentimental speech of the disciple. So I'll start with a little bit some philosophical thing, and I hope you can bear with me. I found this purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 4, Verse 5. And this, the topic in Canto 5 is very technical sometimes, and Srila Prabhupada sometimes gives no purport at all. And this purport was actually quite long. And towards the end of the purport, it gets very interesting because of the last line of that verse. And I will quote from that purport. This is the way of Vedic life. One must stop the process of repeated birth and death and return home, back to Godhead. The words tan mahimanam avapa are significant in this regard. That mahima means liberation in this life. We should act in such a way in this life that after giving up this body, we will become liberated from the bondage of repeated birth and death. This is called Jivan Mukti. Srila Viraraghava Acharya states that in the Chandogya Upanishads, there are 8 symptoms of a Jivan Mukta, a person who is actually liberated even when living in this body. So in this purport, we can see Srila Prabhupada referring to Srila Swami, which he did many times in the purports in Bhagavatam. I only heard a few times about Srila Viraraghava Acharya, and I googled him. So he's from Sri Sampradaya. And different references are there in the Bhagavatam, in the purports, where Srila Prabhupada refers to Srila Viraraghava Acharya. And later on in the same purport, Srila Prabhupada refers to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also. And then he quotes Sukadeva Goswami. So actually this verse is quite long, and this purport all of a sudden came off topic. You know, why would Srila Prabhupada all of a sudden include something about Jivan Mukta? It was about this word Mahima, means liberation in this life, and Prabhupada wanted to get out, Jivan Mukta. A person who is already liberated, even when living in this body. So actually we can see, he says there are 8 symptoms of a Jivan Mukta. I will just mention one symptom because there's 7 more, but all 8 symptoms are applicable to Srila Gour Govinda Swami, or Gurudev. The first symptom of one so liberated is that he is freed from all sinful activity. Apahata Papa. As long as one is under the clutches of Maya and the material energy, one has to engage in sinful activity. Bhagavad Gita describes such people as duskrinitaha, which indicates that they are always engaged in this sinful activity. One who is liberated in this life does not commit any sinful activities. So this first point, I will just go a little bit elaborating on this first point, that he's freed from sinful activity. We heard from Bhagavad Maharaj that Srila Gurudev told him from his early childhood, and he shared some little bits of that with us. And we all know that his deity Gopalju in Gadaigiri, that so many 100 years before this deity came from Vrindavan to Gadaigiri, and he served the deity from like his first moment in his life up to his last breath in his life. He used to worship the deity. He learned on very early age. He mastered the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Like Maharaj mentioned, he spoke Sanskrit, Hindi, Bengali, Oriya, English. And in that way he was able, before he came to Srila Prabhupada, to read all the Vaishnava literatures, in Oriya especially, because that was available at that time in Orissa. Gaudiya preached, of course, also in Orissa, so those books were also available. And so we can see from his early life that he was free from sinful activity. So my story with Srila Gurudev begins in 1994 in Radadis, Belgium, July. He came for the Europe tour. And I had heard stories before that, one of the stories of how disciples meet the Guru and how godbrothers meet the Guru. And you have all heard the story of my wife, how she met Guru, without knowing that he was Guru, but she accepted him in his heart. And I had read some of the transcriptions, of course, and some tapes. But when I saw him live in Radadis, in the castle in Belgium, I was thinking, okay, let something like that happen to me also, let something special happen. So I was in the lecture in a very challenging mood. You really have to touch me, Maharaj, otherwise, how come I become your disciple? And so I was just practicing law. I was in my first contract, and had so many plans, for the future career and everything. And all of a sudden, during that lecture, Gurudev said, "Give up all your plans and projects, surrender to Krishna." Okay, that was it for me. Just the simple line. For me, it was, it really touched my heart, came in like a thunderbolt, and that changed my life. We went with Gurudev in '94 on the UK tour, and in Birmingham, we met with him personally for the first time. We told him how much we appreciated him, asked for initiation. He said yes. We followed the process in ISKCON, 1 year waiting, and we also invited him in '94 in Birmingham. We asked him to invite him in our house in Holland. So he said, yes, of course, I will come to Holland next year in the tour. So he accepted that. So during that tour in '94, in UK especially, Gurudev somehow was mentioning the importance of getting 3 items for the Guru. Mahaprasadam, feet washing water, dust from the lotus feet. I myself added to that, wanted to massage his body. So the Mahaprasadam on a tour is very simple, because on your tour with a few disciples, you can get, you are very close to Gurudev, and my wife was cooking with some other Matatis, and Jai Subhak Maharaj ki Jai. Haribol. Jai. So the Mahaprasadam was available, and we got it on the tour. Feet washing water was also quite available, because everywhere where Gurudev would go, they would wash his feet, and we could have the remnants, the feet washing water. So dust from the lotus feet was not possible at that time. And after that tour, we were so in bliss, and we decided, my contract ended. I didn't secure the next job. I thought, okay, that is Krishna's arrangement. We have the time now. Let's go to Bhubaneswar. We went to Bhubaneswar, and we had told to Madhananda and to Gurudev. Madhananda said, you know, when it's possible, you have to come to Bhubaneswar. Gurudev told us, please come to Bhubaneswar. So we made some arrangement and went to Bhubaneswar. When we went to the airport, Gurudev, Madhananda saw us, and Madhananda told us, look, they have made it, they have come. So actually seeing Bhubaneswar, the temple, Gurudev in his own natural setting, was mind-blowing. It was so powerful. In Bhubaneswar, it's impossible to get Mahaprasadam. You know, there's this cook and the devotees there. They get all the Mahaprasadam. No possibility for others, outsiders, to get Mahaprasadam. So I was lucky that on the Europe tour, I had this opportunity. Feet washing water on arrival. They washed the lotus feet of Gurudev. And only a few drops you could get. You know, like on a tour, you get like half a glass of water or whatever. Dust from lotus feet. So that was my next project, because the 2 one I had already. And I was watching what happened. That Gurudev is in Bhajan Kutir. In the morning for his Bhagavatam class, he, together with his servant and a few disciples, come upstairs to the temple. And then he goes inside. He goes to Srila Prabhupada, the deities, and then he goes for the lecture. So the moment of the opportunity to get the dust from lotus feet is when he arrives upstairs, takes off his shoes, and then that is the moment. So I saw nobody was was accepting the shoes, because everybody was either looking at Gurudev or was otherwise engaged, trying to get a good seat for the lecture. So I planned in such a way that I would just not follow from the Bhajan Kutir. I would stand waiting for the hall and accept his shoes. So for the whole month, I was able to do that. Next year, when I came back, somebody else had found out that trick, and I couldn't get any opportunity for that also. So we were again reconfirmed in the fact that we would get initiation next year. We invited Gurudev, and then we entered into 1995, and all of a sudden I was summoned to go to Radhadesh, the castle in Belgium. And then I had a meeting with, amongst others, Govinda Swami. He mentioned that there were so many complaints about Gurudev's disciples. There were like 20 disciples, followers of Gurudev in Holland. And some of them were like very strongly preaching. And not only in Holland, Australia, as many other places, but somehow they focused on Holland. And so he told me, Gour Govinda Swami, you cannot invite him to Holland, not in the ISKCON centers. So I said, I'm a private citizen. You cannot ban me. You cannot tell me that I cannot invite him in my own house. And if I organize private programs, we are not in like the government of Holland. but just the ISKCON center. So you have to, you cannot allow me, you cannot disallow me for doing that. So in that understanding, we separated parts, and I went back to Holland, and we started, the whole Holland tour, which was from our house, making preparations for that. So Gurudev visited Holland. We had a wonderful arrival at Schiphol Airport. He came to our house. We did feet washing water. His servant Janeswar Prabhu, he checked the arrangement in the house, and he said, Gurudev likes it, but you cannot use the bathroom facilities. So we had to get out of the house, or we only slept in the house and had to use the bathroom with some other friend in another city in the morning, early morning. So Gurudev did several programs in the Hindu school, in Rotterdam, in Utrecht, and also he did in our house a Hindu video shoot for a Dutch Hindu television organization. And all of a sudden he heard that the Rath Yatra we had been organizing, the first Rath Yatra in The Hague, there were Rath Yatras in Amsterdam before, but not ever here, that Radha Desh told, your Gurudev is not welcome to that Rath Yatra. And if you would come, they would not send Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. So we had come at that point. And actually, Gurudev was so much engaged from like early morning to late evening. Afterwards, if we recollect the memories, we have to say that it was just too much. But we wanted to share Srila Gurudev with the whole world, and Srila Gurudev didn't want to disappoint his disciples. And he was always effulgent, whatever the program was. So my wish to massage the body of Srila Gurudev, even when he was in my own house, was not fulfilled that year. We were so busy running around doing seva and arranging things that other disciples and followers came to our house to do massage, but somehow I was not able to do that. And secretly I had a fifth wish, amongst many others, but that was I would like to drive Srila Gurudev in a car to the airport. So luckily I was able to do that, and I remember that Gurudev was used to sometimes quite rough drivers. So I had reminded myself, you have to drive easily, and I drove like only 80 on the highway, and still, because there was no traffic jam, we came very quickly, and Gurudev said, so fast? Because Gurudev was very very strict. He didn't want to come too late for programs. He wanted to be there in time and well prepared. And especially, he didn't want to miss a flight. So, this is July 95, and we would get initiation the next August, 18th of August, at Krishna Janmashtami. And we had not been able to secure our recommendation. But that's a bit wonderful, actually, a bit strange, actually, because we had been doing seva in the centers since 1989, and beginning from cutting vegetables, cleaning, to cooking, and before, after the whole thing, everybody knew us. So since 1989, we had not missed any Sunday feast, up to 1995 at that point. Only in 93, for 2 Sundays, we went together with all the devotees from Holland and Belgium on a spiritual trip to France and Italy. So when we asked for recommendation, of course, we were the leaders in The Hague, but to give recommendation to yourself is a bit funny, isn't it? So we didn't want to do that. So we went to the previous leader from that center, and his reply was, well, actually, we don't know them. It's quite funny, actually. So we also did seva on the Saturdays in Rotterdam. So we went to that center, the president of that center, and asked, will you give recommendation? And he said, happily, yes, we will give recommendation. We were with a group of 5, and so the 2 of us, Mother Lala and my wife, and 3 others. So one was not present at that time. So because of that one, He said, if you come back next day, I will have written... ik weet het. Ja. 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 Thank you. So, this recommendation he would give next day, it didn't work out. So he, because he got a phone call from somebody, and then he said, you have to excuse me, you will not get recommendation. So we arrived in 95 in Bhubaneswar without recommendation. And the temple president of Bhubaneswar told us, yes, you can go to the temple president of Birmingham because you did seva there. And if you passed a test, he will give you a recommendation. So we did do that and got a recommendation and got Harinam initiation on Christian Dharmasmi. Actually, you know, we have been busy so hectic nowadays, and I think also in those days, devotees are very conscious about their japa malas and kanti malas, but we got a cheapest one in Bhubaneswar available, you know. Still have very happy with that, but that is something what I really missed or regretted, that not having to choose my own kanti mala and japa mala. But anyhow, Gurudev blessed those malas and chanted on them, so we are very happy with that. In Bhubaneswar we heard that you cannot miss the Nityananda Trayodasi glorifications of Gurudev because these are just out of this world. So we planned to go to the Nityananda Trayodasi in 96. We went there and we were just... our mind was just blown out by that. But when we arrived there, Gurudev mentioned, I received this letter from the DBC. You invited me. Please, you have to. What can I do? I told him the exact situation. You were not allowed to come to the temples, but you were allowed to come to my house and other programs. And he said, yes. You come to Mayapur together and speak to the GMC at the meeting and speak the truth. Explain that, what happened exactly to you, according to you. So when I heard coming to move Mayapur, of course, it was a wish, but ordered by the Guru, even better. So in those days, how to book a room in Mayapur? Already very crowded here, less facilities. So I just got a general phone number, phoned it, and told him, can you get me a room? Yes, Prabhu, don't worry, come, you will get it. And it was Prabhupada's centennial, 100 years, Hare Krishna Utsav, a big pandal in the center of the city. Srila Gurudev was preaching so powerful. At one point he said, do you know who is Krishna? I know who is Krishna. Do you want to get back to Godhead? I can take you back to Godhead. And there were so many devotees from ISKCON present for that pandal. Mostly Gurudev spoke in Oriya, but this English they could understand. Everybody could understand. So they said, you know, we didn't know that there was such a powerful preacher in ISKCON. What also happened is that the king of Puri, he presented full dandavats in front of Gurudev. And afterwards, this reporter in the newspaper, local news, in the newspaper, he asked the king, why did you do that? Because everybody bows for you, you bow to nobody. He said, I only bow to Lord Jagannath, and when I saw Gour Govinda Swami, I saw the walking Jagannath. So I had to bow. So we went to Mayapur together with Gurudev, same plane, one seat behind him. And when I presented myself at the reception of the guest house, I got the keys for the room. I went to the room, and that room was the Count's building, the room next to Srila Gurudev's. So how can you say that? You know, I didn't plan anything like that. I didn't present myself as a disciple of Gurudev. Somehow the arrangement was made that we would have that particular room. So the room between Gurudev's room and our room, there was an intermediate door. So very convenient, because Rasikananda Prabhu and his wife, Sashila, Nurahari and my wife, they would cook and offer the prasadam to Srila Gurudev in the room next door. I was preparing for the DBC meeting. I was making notes for everything I wanted to say. I was especially preparing to counteract any nonsense statements. And as being a lawyer, I was not quite expert at doing that. So now coming to 9th February of 96, the day Srila Gurudev left. Rasikananda Prabhu, Leela Avatar Prabhu, Bhaktarupa Prabhu were in the room with the two Matajis and some Oriya God brothers. I was in my room and Dora Hari Prabhu, the wife of Rasikananda Sashila and Madhalanasa were cooking. And we heard at one point around after 6 a loud knock on the door, that intermediate door. And we opened it and they said, come, Gurudev, we have to chant, Nam Karo, Japa. So I went inside and Gurudev was sitting on his bed, arm like this. I looked in his eyes and everybody was like in the state of, they were not able to control themselves. Sorry about this. We had Gurudev light on the on the bed comfortably. Devotees were massaging his lotus feet, each one, his arm, his shoulder. Finally, my wish to massage Gurudev's body was materialized. I was able to do that. I never cried in my life as much as on that day. Well, you can see it. It's still traumatic. So, sorry. So my personal experience, his body was warm, his body was glowing. There was no hint that he had left his body. At one point, they asked me to search for Dr. Swarup Damodar, the Ayurvedic doctor. And later on, I heard that Srila Gurudev did not have a heart attack. There was still a low pulse. He is in Samadhi. And then it was confirmed that he had left. I asked Bhaktarupa Prabhu if he had really left. And he just looked pityingly at me. So the room was fully packed. You know, all the DBC, his godbrothers, Swamis came in, devotees hanging out from the windows, trying to get a hang of what was going on inside. Many intelligent devotees came to offer garland and took it with them. I was not that intelligent. I never had anything from that room. My wife was able to secure some of the maha-garlands afterwards, but that is all what we had. So we took Gurudev on a procession to the Radha Madhava temple, and because it was the appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, we had Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So we took Srila Gurudev on the palanquin next to them. So as disciples, you know, we had moments of sorrow and joy, because finally, three acharmas next to each other. We had mixed feelings. So we have some pictures of this, but we don't share them publicly. So the way back to Bhubaneswar, there was some, first also, of course, there was some discussion. Where will his Samadhi be? Mayapur, Bhubaneswar. It was decided Bhubaneswar. But in the bus, we were in a bus back to Bhubaneswar. Gurudev went with a taxi, with his car, back to Bhubaneswar. All of us, we were discussing, many times everybody was silent, and sometimes somebody would started crying, and we will share our feelings. But all of us had this strong feeling that when we would arrive in Bhubaneswar, we would see Gurudev on the Vyasa asana, strongly, roaring like a lion, like always we expect him to do. And this wasn't happened to be true. Okay, now to the major point. On arrival, back in the Netherlands, the very next morning at 6 a.m., the phone rang. It was Kanambakananda Prabhu. At that time he was Vanaprastha, not sannyas. He told that he was mandated by the GBC to share the following with me. 4 things. Kanambakananda Prabhu mentioned on behalf of the GBC that the GBC had decided that our initiation was retracted, null and void, annihilated, because we did not have proper recommendation. So when he mentioned that, it was a blow to my head, isn't it? You had initiation, and this is null and void. It's retracted. And he went on. Kanambakananda Prabhu. He went on. Srila Gurudev was put on probation for 1 year. They would listen to his lectures carefully, and it would be supervised by Suhotra Swami. So these two were part of a resolution. DBC resolution. And the third point he mentioned is that because Gurudev, Srila Gour Govinda Swami has left in such a glorious way, we were reinstated in our initiation. So suddenly, before a decision was there, your initiation is retracted, and all of a sudden, you are reinstated. So initiation is a question of the heart. Our initiation was in '94 in Birmingham, and we asked him, and he accepted our request and honored that we would be his disciples. So, and the other thing he mentioned is that Srila Gurudev disappearance day would be added on the Vaishnava calendar to be observed by all. And later we saw the DBC resolution to that effect. So fast forward to November 2022, so many years later, I met Kanambakananda Maharaj in Vrindavan, November. So that was just before he would leave his body in February. I thought, after so many years, I didn't discuss this issue with him. And I didn't want to leave it open like that. So we went on a walk. He's from Holland, I'm from Holland, we know each other very well. And after what he told me in '96, every time when we would meet, there would be this connection that we share this common background, because he was not happy to tell this to me. He was mandated by the GBC to tell me this thing. And other disciples, other ISKCON leaders were also had some other responsibilities. And when they are ready to share that with the larger public audience, they will do that, but I cannot do that on my behalf. So I discussed with Kanambakananda. I expressed my sorrow for his bodily condition and his imminent departure. Then I told him that of all phone calls I have had in my whole life, his call to me in February 1966 was the most lasting one. So he asked me to help remember him, what was that call? So I just had to use a few words, and he immediately understood what was the topic. So we discussed that situation, and he shared his appreciation for Srila Gurudev. Little did I imagine that in his last publicly recorded video in February 2023, that he regarded Srila Gurudev as the Tattva Acharya. You can find it up on Google that he says that. And to my surprise, he told to me in that walk that he saw Gurudev, discussing the topics, and that made him Acharya. But to say it in public, after what happened so many years, and was like really a big thing for me. And because Subhak Maharaj is here, I will stop here. I would like to invite him to come to the podium to share his dealings and intimate dealings with Gour Govinda Swami. I remember that Maharaj, immediately after the Samadhi, after Gurudev went to Bhubaneswar, Maharaj came for wherever he was to Bhubaneswar to come to help his disciples, to console them and give support. And he has been doing that for many years up till now, and so we praise Maharaj so much for that. So one thing I want to add to that is that when Maharaj, at that time, Subhak Maharaj, gave a lecture one day, Srimad Bhagavatam lecture. Normally when a Gurudev gives lecture, his disciples start ask so many questions. Now all were silent, because they were pain and this and that. But I thought, this silence is like, it is like a deadly silence. So I never asked the question, but I thought we cannot let that happen. So I asked one question to Subhak Maharaj. And I don't remember the question, I don't remember the answer, but I think that helped the situation there. Thank you so much. Please forgive me for my offenses, if any made. And this was what so many devotees requested my wife and myself since last year here in Mayapur to speak about. So we have shared this with you all. There's much more to share, but we leave it like this. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gopramanandi.
Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishnupadaya Vishnupestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pucharine Nirvishesha Paschatu Deshachayane Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivat Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo. I can't remember exactly, whatever I can, just telling. So, I feel fortunate to have some association of His Holiness Gour Govinda Swami Maharaj. I don't know when I first saw him, and I experience, I see, whatever association I have with my Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, and learned from him, and I find here is a Vaishnava, I find hardly I see. Being born in a place with a background, and later on I came to know from Prabhupada's teaching. Big snake. I said, here you see. Later on I heard one of the center ministers, I remember, his wife or somebody, he was a central minister and his wife, they have got some land and she wanted to, hearing, associating with Prabhupada, want to say, if you make a temple in future in Bhubaneswar, I want to give you this land. I had some association with Prabhupada, maybe talk to or hear Harikatha. Detail I don't know. And Prabhupada, you know, is in scripture, in the books, information how Maharaj, I am not telling in order of time. So Maharaj traveling and trying to find out his guru. And Krishna knows the heart and hearing, as they understand. When Vrindavan, everywhere, he's not accepted, he is always talking about Hare Krishna. And in North India, always Paramatma, Paramatma. So he couldn't stay with them. And when he went to Vrindavan and saw International Society of Krishna Consciousness, Prabhupada will ask him, he said, I had some manpower, you are sending me, no money. Prabhupada said directly, I didn't have money. I didn't have manpower. If you are sincere, Krishna will send you everything. I saw Maharaj used to say, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, you want to become Vaishnava. Vaishnava is Saralatai Vaishnava. When it's transparent, one is very sincere, very simple at heart. Very difficult, na? Excuse me. Isn't it very difficult to become simple at heart? Especially in the material world, living. Many ask this question. How can I be simple? People will exploit me. But that is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. You want to become Vaishnava? Simplicity is Vaishnava. Very difficult. We can ask ourselves, each of you sitting here. Not so. I understand, it is the qualification that tells somebody who is who. Yes or no? And I find it. So I used to come, doesn't matter other likes or dislikes. This is what I learned from Prabhupada. I had some association with Prabhupada. Alone. I am not a big gun, you know, not in the limelight. But what I learned from Prabhupada, I am just following. I am not saying I am able to do everything. Here is someone able to do. Yes, yes. From the very beginning, what I heard and what I saw. So, this is like an ideal to me. Though I cannot do what he did, like I wish I can become. Okay. Still now, the way he, whatever comes in my mind, the way he speaks, so like a lion. I don't see anybody can speak like that. Simply shouting like a lion is not everything. It reaches your heart. Hit it. Break the rock like our heart. Because of so much aparad we are doing. This is the cause of so many. I think sometimes cannot maintain, find it difficult to maintain purity and stay in devotional side. This is what I feel learning from Prabhupada. And he also said, how will you know who is Guru? I like the way he preaches. He's very bold. Doesn't care what other things or not. You like or dislike, doesn't matter. He's telling. Simple thing he's saying. But he's explaining for hours. I don't know. I think very convincing. When I sit down, I ask, isn't it? I say, Maharaj, I have come here to learn. I don't know whether he is listening what I say. I say, Maharaj, I have come here to listen what you are saying. Doesn't matter how others assess him, but I assess him through the eye of my Guru. Telling in India how a Brahmin is. There is a Ramdas, there is a Brahmin in Navadvip. And the king's wife, Krishnagar, is taking bath. Don't mind, I told, I will speak from here and there, what I learned from Prabhupada. He's taking bath, suddenly other people say, Ranima, Mother Queen, don't splash water. Stop. Why are you saying this? You're splashing water to Ramdas' wife. Who is Ramdas? Who is his wife? Ramdas said, Brahmin, everybody knows respect. I am the queen. She went and tell her husband, King. King said, really? Okay, I found. She asked, oh, King, you are talking about Ramdas. Everybody respect him. Great Brahmin. His wife may be taking bath. The queen naturally feels she is most exalted. She is the queen. But here is one Brahmin's wife. And Prabhupada is telling, who is Brahmin? He doesn't depend on anybody. Prabhupada said, different type of Brahmin there. In India, I see, still in Mayapur, early days, when there was nothing, hut and one building, I came. Prabhupada asked me long ago to come. And I see, that system is there. Brahmin doesn't depend, ask anything from anybody. I saw only Krishnadas Babaji and nobody. Prabhupada's godfather, we come to know, he is like a Paramahansa. And Krishnadas Babaji once said, just Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya putting cotton wool near the nostrils of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he fell down, seeing Jagannath as Krishna. And Maharaj, when Bhaktivedanta Madhav Maharaj, Prabhupada's godbrother here, expired, body brought, I also at night went. All the time I was not with Maharaj, I was there. What I heard, sometime either there or when he was brought Maharaj, but suddenly they found he fell unconscious and others couldn't understand, they took him. That he is describing, though he is considered by others, what is called eccentric. Sorry, don't mind. His name is Laguri. I like him. He's not like anybody. He's a little different. Devotee, uncommon. Though many, I am not surprised to think something he is unusual, eccentric. But I don't think that. I think he is a very simple person. Very, very simple. We can't be that simple. He feels he's not what I will say and assess. Then I will say what is the reaction, not feel. Yes, doesn't matter, people say whatever. And they say, everybody is saying what happened to him, we don't know. Then Krishnadas Babaji, whom we respect highly, as I see how Prabhupada treats him, looks like an illiterate person. Krishnadas Babaji told me, I remember, at that time, Bhaktisiddhanta's time, he was a graduate of Dhaka University. But the way he talks, laughs and behaves looks like an illiterate person. And always laughs like a child. And he has got nothing. simply this much cloth here, and day and night chanting Hare Krishna, and give somebody a leaflet preaching, chant Hare Krishna. Everything is there. And saying it's very difficult. Saying Vaishnaver Kiya Mudra Vijnana Mudra. To understand a Vaishnava is not easy. Unless he does not reveal to some particular person. They can understand. I don't want to get into debate of all these things. This is already in the scripture. I find these are really meaningful. How should I won't go where nobody is there and there is drumsticks here and this woman. Some say there is some ghost here. Oh, really? One day I saw a big snake. I was going for a walk, forest. And I know there is not unlikely, not very far. In the evening sometime maybe elephant coming. There are scorpions, deadly. And Maharaj is living there. And he was asked by the authority arranged, he wants Prabhupada to come here. Prabhupada stayed there more than 2 weeks. 17 days? 17 days, you are right. You're right. And Prabhupada said, have some room for me, and he made a mud hut with his own hand. And himself also staying. And bathroom, I don't like to see Indian can think, put something like a wall type demarcation with bamboo thing. Very simple, I saw all those things. And Prabhupada said, arrange some water and some light. And there is no light. And some or other arrange everything. And he has to arrange for people who will come with Prabhupada, they are fair. In material estimation, for him, he was a teacher to collect all this. I don't think easy. But by Krishna's mercy, he arranged. And also, not only Prabhupada, if others coming, at least they can listen lecture. He heard from higher authority that rather Prabhupada stay in some circuit house or some hotel or something arranging. Prabhupada ultimately say, wherever you like you stay, I like to stay where my disciple Gour Govinda arranged for me. That here is Prabhupada teaching us. He is a pure devotee. Can live anywhere, everywhere. It's simply love that is required. This is the way I see. Now you don't have to accept. And Prabhupada stayed there. Just like a father, whatever son arranged, father, his loving son. Maharaj was staying there. I was surprised, such a small place, nothing there. He was asked, and sometime, little bit now, the stair is starting little, and underneath this, there is some place, the space, they made a room and using it for some purpose. I remember. Hardly much to know. And Tejas Prabhu, sometime, I cannot tell the timing before, and he used to say, and I was surprised how he is living. One day he invited me. His wife, very simple clothes, and his daughter, he provided me. Himself, he invited. And I say, I am learning Lord. I am seeing who is real brahmachari. I am eating rice and dal. I don't think any sabji was there. That is his food. And life is there very, very austere. Austerity makes us pure. As you understand. Maharaj sometimes say, I don't know, my Guru say to make a building where money will come. Sometimes he is talking to me. I say, Maharaj, Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Sevamanam. I still remember. Yeah, I understand, but I don't know how I will build all these things. I think Maharaj, Prabhupada says, definitely something will happen, I'm sure. Prabhupada confidentially told him, this place will be busiest place of the city, you will see in one day. At that time, whole day, I see the place is lonely. Once in a while, after hours, a truck going in the street. I go for a long walk. Maybe trucks running between big cities like Calcutta, is a highway, Calcutta and Chennai, all these places, South India going there. No building, nothing, only some trees, forest like, both sides. And here, Prabhupada told him confidentially, see, one day it will become, and your temple will become famous among all these temples, one day. Devotees from all parts of the world will come. Not necessarily because of the temple, because of the actual temple is, the deity, actual temple is devotion of the pure devotee. His tattva vichar, who is emphasizing all these things, is only him. So some people are interested and hear from him. His Harikatha, the way he answered, the book is there, Mathura meets Vrindavan. I don't see any book, anybody writing like this. And he empowers Madhavananda. And Madhavananda putting them together. And I highly appreciate. It is only the Jyotish he can tell which is the jewel real. Whatever the way we see, the Jyotish will know the real jewel. No? I see it this way. You can see Maharaj's books. You read through, you will know what he is talking. Two Prabhupada's senior Mataji disciples, I don't know who are they went to ask why at the end Mahaprabhu did his all final pastimes in Jagannath Puri. Why Jagannath Puri? Again, this question. As far as I remember. And he's explaining so many things. Very deep Krishna's pastime, Radharani, all this. Can't think of any book here. We'll find all these things and write it down. No. Complete personal realization. And nobody can say anything. Few other books also. It is also very good, this one. When good fortune arises, you read these books. I request you, and you have his association. He is still there, in his Bani. I still relish his association. Though I don't like to speak, in front of him he will ask me sometime, you speak, answer this. In the evening, afternoon, he almost whole night I heard he used to write, and unless he's complete he won't eat once a day. It's ideal, Prabhupada's ideal bhakta eats once a day. I can't. This is wish can. Once I remember, Maharaj came from somewhere, maybe outside, world tour, and he was received, giving a reception specially from the government in a band program. And I went, and for some time I am hearing meeting is coming, where whole world devotees will be coming and the authority will meet. Maharaj, I don't know when at that time I took sannyas or so. And some devotee disciples from Maharaj will tell, Maharaj, see, I don't know anything can happen. Can you do something? I don't know what to do. I can understand. Mohan is saying, I am helpless, I want to do this, I can't. Something like that. As you said, I am telling some. It's very sad. If the system is democracy, in one sense it is not spiritual. Let me tell that this truth may not be pleasant to anybody. Democracy is not spiritual. To run a society, to keep everybody happy may be possible. Material world means and spiritual world mean, Prabhupada said, free from envy. He is the Vaishnava. If this thing is there, how can he be Vaishnava? Yes or no? So it is all qualification, not dress. Brahmin is samo damo tapo saucham. Sannyasi is, I have nothing to do with this world. 24 hours serving Krishna without any desire. He is sannyasi. And detailed qualification is there, that will manifest. It is a change of character. It is better. Kaumaro acharet pragya. He is fortunate and wise. From the childhood he practices Bhagavad Dharma. This is what I know from Prabhupada's books. King came to see Ramdas in Navadvip. Prabhupada was there explaining that different type of Brahman. One Brahmin, he does not depend on anybody and everybody. He or his wife go to the field and sweep what is left over by taking the paddies. Left over is better. Don't ask for me. Still now, Mayapur, I think we see some guys are like that. He may not be Brahmin or this. Doesn't depend on anybody. So humble. And lives on that. So Ramdas said, oh, yeah, much king has come. Let him come. Yes, please come in. I heard about you, Ramdas. You are a scholar. He is hesitating, seeing him. He said, how you run yourself? You have got a house. It seems like water trickles down from the roof. No problem. Me and my wife, no difficulty staying here. No, it can be repaired. He's not saying, can I do this? He's even hesitating to say. Such an exalted Brahmin, it doesn't depend on king, depend on anybody. How you run your family? Brahmin means he doesn't earn money. He teaches. This is Brahmin. One of the symptoms. Patan, patan. Jajan, jajan. Dan, pratigya. I see Maharaj's life, something like that. And he said, yes. So how you maintain yourself? No, I teach it. And this student he has got a tall Sanskrit, tall called Sanskrit school, Gurukul that means. And many come to him and he teaches. And somebody bring a little rice, somebody some sabji, every day they bring. Doesn't matter if they don't bring, right? Suppose somebody yesterday your extra rice there, yeah, no problem. So why sabji, dal? That's why you see the tamarind tree. My wife takes some from there. If there is no tamarind, some leaves, rice. Leaf very simple. Well, it reminds me of Maharaj. I saw how he is living simply. He been towards there and he has got somebody gave some maybe jeep old and he is using and says, Subha Maharaj, or I don't know, the Brahmacharya, come with me. I said, I don't know Uriya. Doesn't matter. You can speak, somebody can. I said, Maharaj, you are speaking, that's enough. I listen. He's like a elder brother, affectionately. I simply see this thing. And when I, in his class, sit down for hours, he's giving class. What is this limited? 8 to 9. No, he is talking for hours. Maybe 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock past, still he's speaking, roaring. Just simply one word or point. Emphatically explaining. And very convincing. This is what I like. And he's telling about Tattva Vichar. You know Bhagavad Gita, Krishna many places saying, how one can know Krishna? Nah. Bhakta mam abhijana javan chasmi tattvato. What is tattvato? Manusyanam sahastresu. Manusyanam sahastresu. Question man bhakti tattvato, na? Manusyanam sahastresu. Question jatati. He tries, endeavor. Question jatati siddhi. Siddha. Siddha, perfection. Jatatamopi, those are endeavoring, jata means no Sanskrit. Telling jatatamopi, siddhanam, those who achieve perfection. Among them, maybe one could understand Krishna. So to understand Krishna, Vishnu, Narayan, Hari is not easy. Not easy. Otherwise, before Prabhupada there are 760 Bhagavad Gita, and could make a single devotee of Krishna. When Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Krishna said, Man mana bhava, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, think of Krishna. Prabhupada said, think of Krishna. Prabhupada said, Mahajana janagata, sapanta, sastrasya tattva nihitam guham. It is very, very confidential, Krishna consciousness. Mahajana janagata sapanta. But you follow the footprints of the Goswami, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, and showed in his life, in separation, feeling separation from Krishna, Radharani. Top. Same thing, Krishna came with the mood of Radharani to teach us, highest. Don't take it cheaply. Become sahaja. Qualify yourself, ourselves. That is what Prabhupada is saying. And he is doing from his childhood. This is what is required. And they don't leave. Prabhupada did the same. Bhaktivedanta Thakur did the same. I am not saying always maybe have to, but this is one symptom. Bhaktivedanta. Prabhupada says him. I understand. Here is I see him. How convinced. And I worship his teachings, and though I cannot practice, I read all these things. Prabhupada said, read my books first, digest, then read other. Otherwise you won't understand. I don't know whether it is contradictory to anything or anybody, so I follow. Though I am attracted by his lecture, try to follow Prabhupada. I like it. And I find here is an example when he is leaving. So that day, the function, government given, and Pancho Ratna told and others staying one by one. And I told Maharaj, I don't have to use you. No, use me. You must speak. Then I said, 5 minutes. No, you speak 20 minutes, half an hour. So I know, I don't want to speak in front of him, I ran away from Calcutta temple and spent as much as possible here, and President most probably asked him, send back Subha. Not that. And Maharaj very nicely will speak. So Maharaj, so for how many days? Smilingly, I could understand. He's not telling, go back to Calcutta. How long? Yes. And then I say, Maharaj. And soon I leave. Again I appear to associate with him. I like him. What I saw Prabhupada said, you are born in India, you should sadhu, brahman, see like this. Ramdas. And king said, so this way you go? Yeah, rice and tetul leaf. This is what I learned from Prabhupada. I must say. But definitely it is necessary to attract people from all parts of the world. Standards should be such so that they can accept it, not run away. Do so many rounds, Guru said. Okay, half. Half of that I cannot make less than this. The rest of the time, work very hard for Krishna. I hope, something like that. Maybe I think Krishna will consider your case. So, but still we are doing Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Not so easy. Krishna name is Krishna himself. How many of us thinking like that? We are diseased. So finish down. Now go, hit the road and distribute as much as possible books. Who said that? Now I don't know how many distribute so many places. And Prabhupada said, if you stop Sankirtan and book distribution, simply eat and sleep. I hope we are not come to this stage. Let us look for a bright future. Strictly follow what Prabhupada says. Here is definitely one example. Yes or no? Anybody want to say anything? Huh? It's the ideal example. I'm not ignoring anybody. What I'm saying, I'm telling you. Here's one. What I saw. So, you are happy? King said to the Ramdas. Of course, I'm happy. How? Simply reading scripture. I saw Maharaj, in his room doesn't come out. Whole day, hardly I see come out. Come, brushing his teeth, taking bath early in the morning. Whole night may be writing, unless he finishes writing, even in the morning. He won't take prasad. We should be like this. Otherwise, mass. Someone class. You want mass or class? Yes. Everybody won't be first class fast, master degree. But you can try. From kindergarten, senior, primary school, the good result. If not, only pass, you will be eliminated soon. You can be first in a primary school, secondary school. If you want to go to first class pass, be sieving. Sieving and the gross thrown. Sometime, some place you can see maybe thousands, they are devotees. As the day passes, you may say, many old we don't see, gone. Some expire, but not that many, as maybe find difficult to maintain what Guru said. Yes or no? It's not so easy. Radharani is watching. You are doing tata rajas tabo bhava kama lobha tasya. How much it has been controlled? Otherwise, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsujya. This can be also used sometimes. mode of passion ignorance, Kapil Dev said, you can still serve. But in general, that is not the case. Prabhupada came here to make perfect gentleman. Again he says, a perfect Brahmin, Brahmo Janati. This is the beginning. Then other devotional service. Then surrender. No condition, not artificial or partial surrender. Complete surrender. Now how much we have done? We can ask ourselves. Pilu, ask yourself, how much you have surrendered sincerely? Ask. I don't think it's so. But Prabhupada said, yes, right within 1-2 minutes, you surrender right now. Sarvadharman Puritaja, Mam Ekam, only Krishna. A bold speech, Prabhupada. But our heart is Hidaya Pasan Gulnato Pasan Hole Gole Jeto. Sorry, Bengali. Even hearing all these things, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime from Prabhupada or whatever, Gour Govinda Maharaj or anybody, other devotees, we are making so much offenses committing devotee, that our heart become like a rock, hot rock. Had it been really following devotional service, hearing from devotees, pure devotees, you have got some realization, anubhav, then that got some impact. So Prabhupada is saying, Narottam Das Thakur's song, Prabhupada again saying, had it been actually a stone, it would have melted. But our heart has become so hard, it does not melt, doesn't become soft, still here. What you say that? Dekhe level, challenge. What does it tell? Still a passion. There is a good outlet for passion. Distribute book. Very good. Use. Collect as much as lucky point. So we have got so much vaibhav, opulence. In one sense good, it attracts many. Yes or no? But you are not affected. You know, I am not this body. And accordingly you are not attracted to such thing. Bring mushroom, ice cream. Sorry, don't mind. I don't want to hurt anybody. Pizza. Pacham pushpam, pizza. Who was saying? Kekong. Happy birthday to Krishna. Happy birthday to Krishna. Hey, you don't know? You are born in here? Yes. How did you bring laddu? How did you bring sweet rice? How did you bring what Radharani likes? Prabhupada, can you offer this? You give offer. Krishna, watch? Yeah, give. Everybody put watch in Krishna's hand. Prabhupada said, now we follow what you like. Prabhupada, I am attached to this. What's it? Don't offer to Krishna. He is not the mode of goodness. Krishna said, just follow. So Prabhupada said, in Bengal, if the housewife asks this tradition to her husband, because he is the bread owner, what do you call in English, huh? Bread earner. So he said, like that. What you like to eat? It doesn't matter. What you like, all everybody just speak every day. No. I want to know. What do you wish to eat? This is origin. This is Indian tradition. We may not like Indian, but this is Vedic also. I'm sorry. Moment we change, twist, I don't know what will be the result, I don't like to say. You read it. It is there still what Prabhupada said. Do not change Do not add. Do not subtract. Otherwise consequences will be far from pleasant. This much I can say. Far from result. You may take it for granted. So it's better you have a desire high and try best at least. If you are not go to the university, at least go to the college. You can become, at least don't stay in Kanistha, at least come to Madhyamodhika. Try to preach. You may not distribute book, you cannot, whatever you can you do, you preach. What you heard from Guru, follow. Coming in disciplic section, exactly something, don't change. Guru is one, not so many. Appears to be so many. Why? Because same thing say, exactly, toto, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Bhavasattika vidhi eke hakurna. No compromise. Difficult. Yes or no? Yes! Not saying. You have to pay the price, you want something. Or with cheap price, you will get cheap thing. Here is the point. If you get cheap thing, price, you get cheap thing. No doubt about it. I go, it's all right, horrible. Very serious thing. Prabhupada made it easy, they made it easy. You have to pay the price. Je jatha mam prapaddante, tang tathaiva bhajamaham. Qualify yourself. And release Krishna consciousness. Don't make yourself some other, another group, like we have got 13 group, I don't want to say. You have to face the reality. In 50 years somewhere, you see, maybe 5% following, shall we say, I asked somebody, some organization, learn from this. Pilu, what do you think? I am telling the reality. I am not exaggerating. I have been asked, I have to finish. Thank you very much to share with me. I don't know how much sharing. I have to tell whether I like or dislike. I don't care. I have to tell. I go. May Lord bless us so we can follow good devotees. Even little bit we can make some real advancement towards the beautiful lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Gaur Nitai. Haribol. Thank you very much. May Lord bless us.
Thank you so much, Subhak Maharaj. Thank you so much for pushing and inspiring our God brothers and myself for so many years. And I think you are the embodiment of non-enviousness in one Vaishnava. You can find one person is Subhak Maharaj. So we had some more speakers here, but I'm sorry that we have come to the end of the program. And I just want to remind that some God brothers, they left their body this year, Achyutananda Prabhu, and the most important, Guru Ma, the wife of Gour Govinda Swami's Grihastha life, she left her body this year. So her son would come for this Tirobhav, but unfortunately he is a teacher also, he has some exams, so he'll try to make it next year to share something about the Grihastha life of Gour Govinda Swami. So thank you so much. I would say we miss Madhananda so much, so like we started in the beginning, we will end with him also. Let's hope that Madhananda Prabhu will be back next year. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Last time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Govinda Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Guru Govinda ki jai. This evening was announced a video at 5 o'clock, but we will have that at 5:30, 6 o'clock something. We have to be a little flexible. And tomorrow is the Guru Puj, Pushpanjali at the Pushpa Samadhi, starting 10 o'clock in the morning up to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Thank you so much. Excuses or apologies to everybody who want to make some glorification, was not able to. Hare Krishna.